once again he's making it to the Super Bowl. So I think when I first we were first talking about this, I do feel like it's an ex and maybe more like a wife at this point, right? You spent 20 years with them. You had six kids, six Super Bowl rings that you love and care for so much, and then they decided to go do something else, and she found a new team. And you're listening to the Brown Perspective. I'm here with my fellow co-host RO.
What's happening?
And today we're going to talk about Super Bowl Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Super Bowl weekend, baby.
Must be tough seeing your ex.
My ex, yes. So for those of you who do not know, I grew up in New England. I grew up in Rhode Island. So I am a Patriots fan and proud of it. Yes, sometimes I can be obnoxious, for sure. But I think you have to understand that before the Brady Belichick era, it was really a struggle, right? We had Drew Bledsoe. I
Bledsoe.
remember vividly the time where Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and then Tom Brady came in and was like, "Who's this young cat?" And then 20 years later, we can see the impact that he had up in New England.
I'm interested in getting your take on what it feels like to see Brady after so many years cheering for him and taking the New England Patriots to the Super Bowl, and now seeing him taking another team. Is your sentiment common amongst Brady or New England fans, or are you the exception where you seem to be rooting for Brady even though it's with a different team?
Well, first I was afraid, I was petrified that I couldn't live without Brady by my side.
I walked
But
right
no,
into
but
that one.
huh?
I walked right into that one.
Yes, you did. No, no, I just couldn't help myself. No, I think it's interesting because actually just this week I heard a story on that. I think there's some fans New England fans who are upset, right, that he left and that he is getting a chance to be at the Super Bowl with a different team. But I think the overwhelming majority of them, and actually, my mom was telling me that just this past Friday at her work, there were a lot of people walking around with the Brady jersey, the Patriots Brady jersey, and also the new one too, because I think that in some ways they appreciate the Super Bowls that he brought home to the Patriots, and in some ways are happy that once again he's making it to the Super Bowl. So I think when I first we were first talking about this, I do feel like it's an ex and maybe more like a wife at this point, right? You spent 20 years with them. You had six kids, six Super Bowl rings that you love and care for so much, and then they decided to go do something else, and she found a new team, a new place where, well, in this case, where he was able to take him again to the big dance. And again, he hasn't won it yet. I think it's going to be a really tough game because while it does show the type of role, the type of leadership that Brady brings to the team, you also have to acknowledge that the Bucks and the coaches, Bruce Arena, they really built a great team. The defense, special teams. So it's really not going to be just the Brady show. And I think they're going to need all of the team to do a great job tomorrow on Sunday because they're playing against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes, I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks. He's probably going to break a lot of the records that Brady's breaking now and set some new ones because of how good he is.
Is it part of the reason why uh, New England fans are now supporting Brady, or even people that in the past didn't like him when he was with New England? Is it because he's the underdog now? Because I think the expectation at the beginning of the season would have been that it was going to be really hard for him to get the team to the Super Bowl. So there was a lot more now that was going against him, and despite
Hmm.
all those odds, considering also his age and the
Yeah.
fact that New England decided to part ways with him. So is that it? Is he getting a bit of a pass because he's not a senior citizen, but when you think about sports, you might as well call him a senior citizen of the NFL. Is he getting the
Yes.
senior citizen pass? Like all of a sudden everybody likes him just because he's old?
Well, not because he's old. I think, yeah, I mean, I
He's
think
old for for NFL
part of that,
years. He's old.
yes, I mean, for sports, for quarterback, it is old, and I think for anyone who still plays any sport, whether it's football, flag football, soccer, you know that, it's not as easy to recover. Your body takes a toll, and if you stop playing because of an injury, it's really even harder to get started. But I think it's not just about him. I think the other piece of this debate is about Coach Belichick and this whole question of, why was New England so successful? Was it because of Tom Brady or was it because of Bill Belichick? So in some ways, you may argue that you can now see that it was Brady. Brady was an important mix, but actually you have to realize that what Belichick built was also the type of team where you had not only a great defense, great special teams, and then you had a great quarterback. So I think that in some ways this proves that yes, you need a great quarterback, but you also need to have a great team that is built around them, and also you need to and I think some people are mad at the Patriots organization because they felt that they did not invest into the receivers, into giving Brady the weapons that he needed and the teams that he needed um, in order to take the franchise to another Super Bowl. And obviously, I think somehow he was able to find that in the Buccaneers. And at first, I was a little, wow, the Bucks. But I'm sure that those who follow the sport more closely probably saw the writing in the wall and how maybe they were building a championship team.
Are you sure it's all Brady? Because when I looked at a few of the highlights from the Bucks, it looked like they just copied Belichick's playbook.
Yeah,
Some
it
of
could
those
be.
some of
I
those
mean,
plays
that's
that some of those plays that they were running looked a lot like the plays that Brady would just run in New England.
yeah, and part of it because those are the plays that he knows, the plays that he's comfortable with, and also you have Gronkowski who's there. Then they also brought Brown down as well. But again, I think that, and it's funny because I also know, as it relates to tomorrow's game, I know that yes, Tom Brady can be a great quarterback and is the type of quarterback, the type of leader, and he proved it against the Super Bowl against Atlanta. We were down, and somehow he and the rest of the team were able to pull out a miracle and some miraculous plays to able to get back to that game. But he has a type of competitive spirit that he doesn't give up, and I think that kind of brings the rest of the team together. But the funny things is that there's also times when Tom Brady, if something's off, if it's either too much pressure, whatever the case is, or he's not playing well, he could also make some dumb decisions. And I know he had a couple
Yeah.
interceptions last 2 weeks ago against the Tampa against Green Bay. So I'm surprised actually Green Bay didn't capitalize on that. But again, it can't be just about Brady. It's about the rest of the team and how well they're gonna do against this powerful Kansas City offense.
Yeah, that game against Green Bay, I think it was more Green Bay beating themselves because
No.
They made a lot of mistakes and Brady threw those interceptions. Was it? I think it was three, two, at least two. I don't
Yeah.
recall if it was actually three, but they would have been mopping the floor with him if the Bucks would have lost that game. Everybody would have, all the haters would have been out there saying, "Yeah, I told you so. He's done. He's over the hill."
Yeah,
Um,
so now it becomes that. In some ways, it's funny because I remember one of the first memes I saw after the finalists were resolved. It was the picture of Yoda and Baby Yoda,
mhm.
and I think that is right because I think Mahomes was 6 years old when Brady won his first Super Bowl, which is
Wow.
crazy to think that they're now going to be playing against each other. But in some ways, and to your earlier point about age, in some ways it does show it is going to be a question of, can he pull it off um, at this late age, 43? And in some ways, it will be interesting to see if another old person wins. And I'm referring to our President Biden. Is this the year where or the last couple of years when you kind of realize that age is nothing but a number, and is really about the work and the determination. And actually, in some ways, his experience gives him what he needs to stay cool, calm, and collected in this game, and sort of do what he needs to do to get the team there, not mess up, and then hopefully inspire the rest of the team to step up in order to be once again Super Bowl champion.
He plays it safe, and that's probably
He makes
what.
good decisions.
Yeah, so he goes for the safe decisions,
Hmm.
and I think he puts himself in a place where it's a lot easier for things to go their way because he doesn't make as many mistakes. Because
Yeah.
you can actually two Super Bowls, at least two. I forget the others, but two, you can knock him off his list, and because it was just luck. The very first one against the Tuck rule against the Raiders,
Hmm.
total luck. They should have lost that game. And then the other one against the Seahawks back in 2014, when the Seahawks were at the goal line,
At the goal line,
and it was
and
the
they decided
receiver
to
that
throw
made
it.
an amazing play, the corner, not the receiver, and intercepted the ball. So
Yeah.
right there, you would have had two lost Super Bowls. So now you're down to four, and he would have already lost five at this point, assuming that he would have gone to the same number of Super Bowls afterwards. And I don't know about those other four wins. If it just seems like he's just lucky. But I'd rather have lucky generals than good generals, something like that. Because sometimes
Mm.
luck plays a big role, but you also have to put yourself in a position where if something lucky happens, it tilts things in your favor. And that's why I'm saying that Brady always seems to play it in the way he plays. It makes it so that if he does catch a break somewhere, that's all like that it takes to push him over
Hmm.
and give him a high probability of winning. Whereas other quarterbacks make a lot of mistakes that even though they catch those lucky breaks, it's just not enough. So yeah, good quarterback, lucky quarterback. I'm still rooting for him. I'm sorry, against him in this Super Bowl. And
Hateration.
no, but so hear me out, okay? This is my
Okay.
philosophy when it comes to sports. I don't like dynasties.
Mm.
I don't like it when a specific individual or a team dominates an entire field. I like Brady when he had one, two, or three. I think once it went beyond three, I started cheering against him. And so same thing with Patrick Mahomes. I think I'll like him right now, but if he wins four Super Bowls, then I'll start saying, yeah, that's too many. I'm gonna start cheering against him. I don't like it when someone's so good at something that they keep winning over and over just because then everybody else around them goes crazy and starts like
Right.
glorifying and raising them to this level that they may not necessarily deserve. And then they forget about the team, right? They forget about, oh, there was a whole team. They just start idolizing the individual. So I try to instead, I prefer it if things are a little more balanced and you don't have these like crazy outliers like the Celtics winning like 13 championships, or now Brady has won six, but he's lost three at this point. So I actually would prefer it if he just lost the same amount of Super Bowls that he's won. That way he would just be an average, kind of like LeBron James, right? LeBron James is amazing, but he's lost more finals than he's won. So that'll always be like a mark on his record. And I kind of want the same record for Brady. So I actually do hope that he comes back next year and the year after, goes to the Super Bowl, and then loses, because then that'll bring down the hype a little bit around him. That'll bring down the hype.
Interesting. So I think I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think that I think if he wins, I think it's in a different team with a whole different
Yeah, people are gonna go
cast, right?
crazy and think that it's all Brady, but it's not, right? That's what I'm saying.
It's yeah, but it's not. But then I think the other thing is that if Patrick Mahomes wins again, back to back, then obviously that's going to be, to your point, the start or the continuation of the legacy. And I know there'll be like other teams that have won it back to back, which is a hard something hard to do.
Yeah, that's
But
why
you got to
that.
also respect
Yeah,
Brady for his the discipline and determination and ability to work on his game at throughout his career, right? So he's even more mobile now than he was, when he was in New England, in part because he realized that he needed to move around the pocket in order to make give himself time to get passes instead of what teams started doing, just going at him,
Hmm.
making sure you tackled him and you got him out of his game. So I think he's been able to evolve his game to stay competitive in a very competitive league.
No, and yeah, that deserves credit. There's other athletes that have been able to do that. I don't know if you're a boxing fan, but if you watch that fight between Floyd Mayweather against Zab Judah, Zab Judah actually came in with a game plan that was giving him pretty good results in the early rounds. Like he was actually
Hmm.
getting in more hits against Mayweather than any other boxer in like the previous 10 years. And then sometime in the third or fourth round, Mayweather was like, "Oh, I think I figured this out." He shifted strategy, and afterwards, Zab Judah wasn't even able to touch. He was able to touch him, but completely frustrated Zab Judah. Completely different match, and this guy changed it. He adjusted mid
Hmm.
fight. So I can appreciate that, and so yeah, I give Brady
And boxing is tough to do too. I
if
don't know how they do
Brady,
it.
if,
Like
yeah, if
people are
Brady
hitting you.
evolved his game and he's now more of a mobile quarterback and he can move around the pocket, that's great. But what I'm saying is, you hit the nail on the head with Patrick Mahomes. If he wins the second Super Bowl, now everyone's gonna start going crazy about him, and they're gonna forget all of the other role players, all of his team members that helped them get there. And so maybe after two Super Bowls, I'll start cheering against Mahomes. Maybe I don't have to wait till four. Depending on what the frenzy is afterwards, if he wins, I may have to start cheering against him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think then it's sort of and then it gets into the type of culture that is being built in that team, like any organization, right? Is it the type of culture where you're so dependent on one player, on one person to get things done? And actually, let's remember that there was a time, there was at the game where he actually had a concussion, and
Yep.
the backup quarterback came in, and he didn't mess up. He did a good job, and he was able to preserve the lead that they had. So I
Yeah.
think it's also a testament to the type of system that you can put in place to have that culture of winning, but also that type of ability. And I think that was one of the things that I admired the most about the Patriots when we started winning. It was like it wasn't. Yes, Brady was a constant player, but it was also about we had injuries, we had things, but people step up, people did their job, people wanted to win. You can see the difference when you have a team who believes in itself.
Hmm.
And I think part of it is also having the leadership, not just the quarterback, but some of the other captains who are helping you um, motivate you to play your best, even if it's difficult, and not give up, or a dust off if you make a mistake. Because I think that's the in sports, that's one of the biggest things, right? You make a mistake, you throw an interception, they score on you. Like, can you stay focused and continue to do what you need to do? Either stay with your game plan or adjust your game plan if you need it.
Yeah, and that must be the other factor in that the confidence that Brady is able to instill on his team members just because of his reputation. So that alone, the team members know that no matter how bad things get, they can always win. So that, again, that's just pure reputation based on
It's
the
an
results.
attitude, baby. It's an attitude.
Yeah, but so just to close this off, so we can close the conversation. The what I'm trying to communicate here is that these are all team sports, and I just
Hmm.
once a certain focus is on one individual, that's when I don't like that we all do that. We seem to have this obsession with finding like chosen ones. Like look at all the movies with the chosen one. It's like really one person is gonna save the world. It's always usually like a group or a community. It's not one person. Even Michael Jordan, right? I was watching a documentary on ESPN, or it may have just been a YouTube video about the series against the Utah Jazz. And I remember that game six when he drilled that final shot. I think it was the final shot against Russell. The on the previous possession, uh, Jordan had a chance to win the game as well, and he missed the shot. And the only reason why he got another chance to make the winning shot is because the Utah Jazz messed up. They completely messed up. They just again, the same thing as Brady. He got lucky. He caught a lucky break, and then he was able to drill the winning shot. But just before that, everybody forgets that he missed the shot, and that would have been the game winning shot. But he missed it. They would have lost if it hadn't been for the Jazz's mistake. So again, people hold Jordan to be like the pinnacle of success, but again, team player, made a lot of mistakes also, or not a lot of mistakes, but he just happened to get lucky in some instances, and that's all. That small break is all he needed to actually win. But I'd rather just focus more on the team instead of just the individual.
No, that's true. And I think that it does apply across sports. And I think when you think of soccer, when you think of some of the great soccer players like Pelé, Maradona, yes, they were great and they had a great supporting team. So some of the teams where Pelé and Maradona won the World Cup was because they had a strong supporting cast and a
Yeah.
lot of leaders on their own right, right? That had the skill and the ability to step up when he fumbled or to make sure that they sort of help the team, help that star player and others get in a position to take advantage of that play of that position and having somebody who can finish, who has the instinct
Mm-hmm.
to finish, who believes in themselves is important. And I think lastly, I'll say that I know that also as a Barcelona fan, I know that
Boo! I'm just kidding.
Messi, this is probably the last year when Messi will be playing in Barcelona, and who knows what's going to happen to him. I think it's something part of me would want him to stay in Barcelona and sort of end his career there, just
Mm-hmm.
like I wanted to see Tom Brady stay in New England and finish his time there. But who knows? I think he also has, as individuals, they also have this desire to prove themselves outside of outside of their that system, and also to prove to themselves, okay, like can I be successful out of this environment, or and how do I continue to challenge myself
Mm-hmm.
and grow as a player, as a person, and doing the game that I love. So I think there's also something to be said about that type of competitive ness that I think athletes at that level have.
Yeah, and actually, Messi's a perfect example because the conversation about him being the greatest ever will always be a bit more measured because he never won the World Cup. and and because of just that, imagine if Argentina would have won like two World Cups or three, if they would have actually been able to build a solid team that could have helped Messi, but they
Yeah.
didn't. And that just shows you that no matter how good Messi is, he could never carry the whole team. So but had Argentina built that team, all the credit would have gone to Messi, and then he would have been the greatest ever, surpassing Pelé, Maradona,
Maradona.
like all the other greats, even Ronaldo. But he never did. So that's a perfect example of why I like things to even out a little bit. So yeah, he's amazing with Barcelona, never won a World Cup. So now we talk about Messi as being amazing, but hold your horses. He never won a World Cup. Yeah.
Damn, that's cold, Reo. That's cold.
Nah, man, I just don't like people getting crazy and start idolizing these figures and forgetting about all of the support that they had just
Hmm.
to achieve their success because we do that a lot. Anyhow, let's close this off. If you all out there enjoy these conversations, don't forget to check us out on YouTube. We are Brown Perspective. We are also on Instagram and Twitter. Nos vemos.
Ciao.